All right, this week we're going to be talking about cause and effect. Cause and effect. Cause and effect can tell us why something happens. And some signal words that we can look at when we're looking at causes of events and what happens as a result, we can look for caused by, result, outcome, impact, so, in order to, brought about by, effects, therefore, because of, influenced by, or leads to. You can have one cause that has many effects. You can have many effects or many causes of one effect. Or you can have one cause and one effect. Okay? We're going to look down at this example here. And it says, and we're going to be looking for some causes and effects. Hurricanes develop in tropical waters. They feed on moist, warm air. The air pressure is constantly changing. Warm, moist air will flow into an area with low pressure. The air rises and the moisture condenses, results into clouds. Then more warm air is drawn over the surface of the ocean. The air continues to spiral upwards. As a result, clusters of thunderstorms form. So I have that keyword, as a result. Then, results. Do you see all these keywords that I'm seeing? So I can think that moisture condenses. That's our cause. I can pick one. We can have more than one cause and more than one effect. Moisture condenses. Causing clouds. We have an effect, is the clouds. Happens as a result. So what we're going to be doing is looking at our example here, and I'm going to show you how to answer some questions. It's called No More Taxes. So you're going to make sure that you have these glued into your notebook. Explaining events. No more taxes. In the seventh, and I know it's a little blurry here, so go ahead and read along. In the 1700s, the colonists were settled in America. They had traveled a long distance to make this their new home. King George, the King of Great Britain, governed the colonists. He set taxes and made rules regarding trade. The colonies had to depend completely on Great Britain for any goods or supplies they needed that were not available in the colonies. In 1765, laws were beginning to be passed that made some of the colonists unhappy. The Quartering Act required colonists to feed and house British soldiers. The Stamp Act was just one of many taxes that the king placed on the colonists in order to help pay for a previous war. The Stamp Act required the colonists to use and pay for a special paper for any legal document. These acts passed by Great Britain and events that happened as a result of these acts led to the eventual rebellion of the colonists against King George. So now that I've read it, I have to make sure that I understand it. And if there's any words in here that I don't understand, I want to make sure that I understand them so I know what the author is trying to say. Now I'm going to go through and find out what skill I'm using, and I'm using cause and effect. So I'm going to look for some of my signal words to see if I can find some causes and effects. It made some colonists unhappy. That could be a result. This one here, as a result. There's also a couple other ones in here as well. Okay? So I'm going to go through as I read it again to see what some causes and effects are. All right, so now let's look at these questions. I'm going to help you answer this question, and then the second question you're going to answer in a discussion. Explain why the colonists began to be angry with King George. So why were they angry? So I go up here. These acts passed by Great Britain and events that happened as a result of these acts led to the eventual rebellion of the colonists against King George. Okay, so something happened before that. Laws were passed that made some colonists unhappy. Laws were passed that were unfair, and that made them unhappy. All right, now as I read this, I have a couple things that I underlined the first time that I went through and read it. And when I see two events, I think about what happened first, not what happened or was said first in the text, but what happened first and then what happened as a result. So right here I have the colonies had to depend completely on Great Britain for any goods or supplies they needed that were not available in the colonies in 1765. So I ask myself, were the goods not available in the colonies first, or did they have to depend on Great Britain first? Well, they had to depend on, let's see here, Great Britain because the goods were not available. That means that my cause here is the goods not being available. And my effect is they had to depend on Great Britain. So now that we've answered this question and found a cause and effect situation, I would like you to answer this question in our discussion. It says, what happened as a result of the events described in the text? So overall, what happened because of all these events? All of these causes resulted in one effect.